You think about money in terms of this month. Maybe this year if you are disciplined. The rich think about it in generational terms. Not because they are smarter, but because someone, somewhere in their exposure to wealth, showed them what compounding actually looks like when it has decades to breathe. Compound interest is the most misunderstood concept in personal finance. You have heard the word. You know it exists, but your brain cannot feel it. Because compounding is invisible in the short term and almost violent in the long term. In the first 10 years you see almost nothing. You save. You invest. The number grows slowly. Agonizingly slowly. Your nervous system is not rewarded. It sees no immediate payoff. It wants to stop. Most people stop. But around year 20 or 25 the math shifts. The curve bends. What took you 15 years to accumulate, the system now replicates in 3. And 3 years later it doubles again. The graph goes nearly vertical. But you will never see that part if you stopped in year 7 because the reward felt too small and too slow. Warren Buffett made 99% of his net worth after his 50th birthday. Not because he got smarter at 50. But because the machine he built in his 20s and 30s finally had enough time to run at full speed. The secret was not genius. The secret was duration. This is what the rich understand that you do not. Wealth is not built in a moment of inspiration. It is not a lucky investment. It is not a viral product. It is a decades-long act of stubborn patience. And your brain, designed for immediate gratification and short-term survival, is categorically opposed to that act by default. Every instinct you have is working against you. Not because you are broken. Because you are human. So here is the question you have to sit with. If your brain is biased toward spending, loss aversion, short-term thinking, and trading time for money, and if these biases are not character flaws but evolutionary features, what do you actually do with that information? The answer is not to fight your brain. You cannot win that fight. The answer is to build structures that make the right behavior the easy behavior. Automate transfers before you feel them. Make investing the default, not the exception. Create accounts your nervous system does not check because it does not know they exist. Remove the decision from the moment of temptation. This is what the rich figured out. Not that they have more willpower. That willpower is a terrible strategy. Richard Thaler's research showed that when companies automatically enrolled employees in retirement plans rather than asking them to opt in, participation rates jumped from around 30% to over 90%. The behavior did not change. The default did. The people did not get smarter or more motivated. The path of least resistance changed. And when the path of least resistance leads toward wealth, people accidentally accumulate it. You have been reading a number on your phone every morning and letting it tell you how safe you are. The rich read the same kind of number. But they are not measuring safety. They are measuring the health of a system. They are checking whether the machine is working. Whether the gap between what comes in and what goes out is growing. Whether the assets are outpacing the liabilities. Whether they are closer to not needing to check the number at all. You check your bank account first thing in the morning. And one day, if you build the right system and leave it alone long enough, you will check it and realize the number stopped meaning what it used to mean. Not because you earn more. Because you finally stopped thinking about money the way your ancestors had to. That is the only real difference between the way you think about money and the way they do. This is why the advice to just spend less and save more lands so flat for so many people. Not because the math is wrong. The math is not wrong. But telling a brain in survival mode to think long-term is like telling someone drowning to take slow, deep breaths. Technically correct. Practically useless. The system running your financial behavior is not your rational mind. It is a threat detection engine that is approximately 250,000 years old, and it has never once heard of an index fund. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler, whose work earned him the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2017, spent decades mapping the gap between how people should make financial decisions and how they actually do. One of his most striking findings was something he called the endowment effect. Once you own something, your brain immediately overvalues it. You will demand significantly more to give up an object than you would have paid to acquire it in the first place. The moment something enters your possession, the loss of it registers as a threat. And your ancient brain is far more motivated to avoid loss than to pursue equivalent gain. Thaler and his colleague Daniel Kahneman quantified this asymmetry. Losses feel roughly twice as powerful as equivalent gains. Losing $50 produces approximately double the emotional impact of finding $50. This is not a quirk or a bias you can simply think away. It is the architecture of a brain that evolved in a world where losses, of food, of shelter, of safety, were often fatal, while gains were merely helpful. In practical terms, this means the pain of watching your savings account stay the same feels more real to your brain than the abstract pleasure of watching it grow. It means the discomfort of not buying something today registers more sharply than the invisible, unprovable benefit of having that money in 10 years. Your brain is not weighing the future against the present. It is weighing a vivid, immediate discomfort against an imaginary reward that does not yet exist. And in that contest, the present wins almost every time. So the question is not why you struggle with money. The question is why anyone manages it well at all, given the equipment you are working with. The answer, it turns out, is environment. Mullainathan, Thaler, and a generation of behavioral economists discovered that the single most powerful intervention in financial behavior is not education. It is not willpower. It is not motivation. It is friction. Specifically, removing friction from good decisions and adding friction to bad ones. When companies stopped requiring employees to opt into retirement savings plans and instead enrolled them automatically, with the option to opt out, participation rates leapt from under 40% to over 90%. The financial knowledge of those employees did not change. Their income did not change. Their discipline did not change. The environment changed. And the ancient, effort-averse brain followed the path of least resistance straight into a better financial future. This is the insight your brain has been waiting for even if it did not know it. You cannot out-discipline a quarter-million-year-old survival system. But you can build a world around yourself where that system's instincts accidentally point in the right direction. Automate the transfer to savings before your brain registers the money as available to spend. Set up the retirement contribution before the paycheck lands and becomes real and grabbable in your mind. Put the thing you want to stop buying behind one more step, one more click, one more day of waiting. The behavior your ancient brain defaults to is determined almost entirely by what your environment makes easy. Change the environment and you change the defaults. There is something that feels almost unfair about this. You have been told your whole life that financial success is a matter of character, of discipline, of making better choices. And here is the evidence saying that the most effective interventions have almost nothing to do with choice at all. That a nudge in the right direction, an automatic enrollment, a default setting, a removed temptation, can produce the outcome that years of self-improvement effort failed to deliver. But maybe that is not unfair. Maybe it is just honest. You are not broken. You are not undisciplined. You are not bad with money. You are a 300,000-year-old survival machine trying to navigate a financial system that has existed for about 400 years. The mismatch is not your fault. But it is your problem to solve. And now you know where to start. You just got paid. The number in your account is the highest it has been in weeks. Before your ancient brain knows what it has, before the tunnel vision locks in, before the program runs, the transfer is already done. The money is already moved. Already saved. Already working. Your brain never even had a chance to feel the loss. And that is exactly the point.